Is it just me, or is an episode based on the idea that your pet could pop through a portal and suddenly be able to talk the greatest premise of all time? Cake the Cat tells the story of Fiona's IRL normie kitty's first foray into ooh, and girl, does our little baby get up to some shenanigans. We've got tons to speculate on in this app, plus some killer Easter eggs. You're watching WhitneyVision, and this is our breakdown of every detail you might have missed in episode 3, Cake the Cat. This is your spoiler warning! If you haven't seen Cake the Cat yet, hit pause on this video and come back once you've tasted every body-modifying fruit in the marketplace. The episode opens on a floating chicken dragon island. If it looks familiar to you die-hard Adventure Time fans, that's because it's an updated version of the original design for the Birdman Temple from the lost episode of AT, The Helmet of Thoragon. This episode was originally outlined by writer Tim McKeon for season 1 of the show, but sadly never made it to the storyboarding phase. You can check out the outline for the story on Reddit if you want to know more. This temple has an Aztec/Mesoamerican design with cannon barrels built into the sides. This floating island is held up by bunches of balloons, as well as a layer of balloons at the base of its structure. The island's climate is deserty with palm trees, and there are several golden eyes adorning the city. Interestingly, this is the third golden eye we've seen this series. First in Fiona's bedroom, then in the spider's tattoo parlor, and now here on Cockatrice Island. As Finn and Jake race through the city streets with spears being fired at them like they're Indiana Jones, we see that Jake has morphed his back into the shape of a basket and is carrying an egg-shaped guy. He isn't actually an egg, he's just out of shape. But same though. This isn't the first time Jake has played egg catcher. Back in the island's mini-series, he kept an egg for a whole episode and was quite proud of doing so when it hatched a parrot. In the intro sequence, we actually see Cake morph into the shape of an egg, which I don't think is a coincidence. Heartbreakingly, Jake appears to be getting tired from running, while Finn is able to keep his pace with ease. When he shapeshifts to avoid the arrows, he audibly moans and groans with each maneuver, and Finn has to remind him to use his abilities to dodge the deadly projectiles in the first place. We all know that this season is gonna break our hearts, right? We know that Jake dies during an adventure with Finn, and that Finn is hesitant to talk about the accident, likely because he partially feels responsible for Jake's death in some way. Thankfully, Adam Muto has reassured us that we won't see Jake's death on screen. In an interview with Inverse, he said, quote, "The how of it isn't necessarily as interesting to me to show on screen, because that's kind of a downer. So it isn't likely that we'll see him die in the show." Surprise! Finn already has the Jake tattoo, hilariously debunking everyone's theory that he got it in memorial of his best buddy. This isn't a memorial, it's a goddamn tribute. Here, we see Finn using a metal arm that looks like it came from a suit of armor. When the cockatrice appears, it has way too many blue orbs on its eye zone, man, and there's a whole bunch of them on its tail. Luckily, Jake swallows Finn to form the Jake suit, first seen in season 5's episode of the same name, and Finn is able to slice the chicken dragon's head off, which hilariously looks like an uncooked chicken on the inside. Finn and Jake do their classic fist bump with Finn's hands inside of Jake's fist before it's revealed that Prismo is watching their old adventures in his time room. It's clear from Prismo's state that he's really going through it, and it seems like Jake's death is the catalyst. After all, you don't grow a weird beard and fill a tub full of beers if you're not grieving someone's death. Just ask Dan Dorian from Scrubs. Way back in season 6's Wake Up, Jake and Prismo had this exchange, which told us just how much they loved being around each other.
You make me happy, Prismo.
Oh, stop.
I'm always smiling when I'm around you. I just noticed that. I always am.
I'm always smiling when I'm around you, too.
This feels so good.
It makes sense that Prismo's having a hard time getting over this beloved dog's death. Where Finn is clearly getting buff, slaying monsters, going on adventures, and possibly making out with Huntress Wizard to drown his sorrows, Prismo's going with the old Whitney Van Lanningham method. Cry near a body of water with alcohol, hot sauce for dippins, and memories of the good times. It's been implied that Prismo has had a bit of a crush on Jake, so it's not lost on me that Prismo is enjoying the Jake suit's pecs. Cake the Cat's title card is a lot more formal than the previous two, featuring a black background with an illuminated letter C, adorned with roses at the beginning of Cake's name, almost to suggest that this will be a fairy tale story. And in a way it will. A house pet from the human world falls into a magical land sounds like some shit that Lin-Manuel Miranda would voice, and Cake is about to embark on her own enchanted adventure. After Fiona kicks Normie Ice Queen in the bread box and makes a mad dash, we return to Simon's apartment in Upton, where Cake has just portaled out of the back of his head. Simon places the collar he accidentally ripped off the dog in the last episode around her neck, and she's able to speak for the first time, although it's clearly still set to the dog voice setting. Adventure Time fans, here's where I need help. Standing atop a box of brand buddies, Cake starts humming. I went through every single one of the Ice King's songs from the original series, and I couldn't find a single one that sounded like the song that Cake heard calling her from the ice portal. Either I'm looking forward to hearing from you guys which episode it was from, or I'm guessing that this song will be revealed in a future episode. If so, we can bet our britches that it's a private song between Simon and Betty. After Cake flees, knocking over the Galb shrine in her wake, Astrid, the Fiona cosplayer, knocks on Simon's door to get her book back. Before he closes the door on her, we hear ECG gasp, confirming that he's still alive for now. A Minerva bot spots Cake as she dashes through an alleyway, asking if she's lost. Not unlike the way a Minerva bot asked Finn if he needed help when he first arrived on Founders Island. She hops atop a similar tube transportation device to the ones that the humans used on Founders Island, and falls off the side of Upton, falling straight towards Zoo. On her way, she's nibbled on by the two-headed duck from the Adventure Time intro, and is able to catch brief glimpses of both the Candy Kingdom and the Ice Kingdom. Luckily, like any good kitty, Cake lands on her feet when she hits the ground. She sleeps off her rough landing in a hollow tree, and when she wakes up, a butterfly is resting on her face. If you recall from the end credits of last episode, Cake was shown dreaming of a butterfly resting on the evil bear's mask from the previous episode. The first thing she sees when she opens her eyes are a group of magical bugs, including the rollerblading fairies from episode 2, the bees from the end credits of the OG series, some beige caterpillars that are usually green background characters in AT, some bouncing worms, a couple of atlas turtles, some classic background ladybug characters, and this goatee bug. Of course, the atlas turtles are a reference to the world-bearing turtles from Hindu, Chinese, and Indigenous American mythology. Note that they have a chunk missing from their globes. This is because Oo's planet has a huge crater in it thanks to the Mushroom War. Overhead, the Ice King makes its way towards the Ice Kingdom where Cake has set her sights. If you've forgotten, the ice thing is what happened to Gunter in the Wishing Crown in Come Along With Me after he wished to be more like the Ice King. Cake is hungry, so she pounces on the first prey she sees, a squirrel pulling an apple cart that turns out to be Mark Maron's character from the episode Up a Tree. He adjusts her voice collar to the cat setting, and Cake explores her new voice. But, just like he does to Finn in his debut episode, Squirrel feeds Cake a cursed apple that causes her to shrink. He promises to get her an enlarging strawberry when they get to the marketplace, and the two head off. As they stroll through the forest, Squirrel and Cake compare notes on their bossy roommates, with Squirrel reminiscing that they never let him do anything, which tracks based on their cult-like homestead vibes back in Up a Tree. We even see a flash of the tree that Finn climbed to rescue his frisbee. Suddenly, the other animals featured in Up a Tree pop out of the wilderness and attack. It seems like all of them have undergone some sort of body modification since the last time we saw them, which could explain how they've stayed alive so long. Although, Beaver over here is definitely falling apart. Owl has a gold watch and a matching switchblade, and another squirrel has cybernetic parts that remind me of Cyborg from Teen Titans. When they try to kidnap Squirrel chanting "in the tree, part of the tree," just like they did in their previous appearance, Cake kicks their asses. She does, however, get two of Porcupine's quills stuck in her, just like Finn did during their first meeting. I also love the little gag where she makes the owl ow by taking off the L on his shirt. When they arrive at the marketplace, it turns out that Squirrel's freaky fruit stand doesn't just sell shrinking apples and enlarging strawberries. It also has oranges that turn you into a borderline kaiju, grapes that shrink your head, a pear that makes you teeny tiny, and dragon fruit that gives you an ass like a Kardashian. But those aren't the only booths in the marketplace. There are tons, including stuff I found in old wells, including actual old well water, seeds you will like, knives, please the fish, fermented pinecone juice, high-class weps, root readings, okay portraits, have you seen my bones? Mystery balls, crusty swords, crystals, Biter's Bargain, which boasts both used teeth and baby teeth, fun Gus, stumps, forget-me-dots, my neighbor's things, moldy nugs, rock eggs, yesterday's prophecies, my finest offspring, priceless heirlooms, odds and ends, stuff I found in old towers, keep walking, the small store, firm handshakes, blessed arrow tips, fallen leaves, carrots, crushed ice with that good anti-lake sauce, geo hymns, melted butter, jam, leave 2 take 1, juicy gossip, frog oil, can of beans, bug soup, good bad records, lost mail, and old rocks. As for cameos, the marketplace scene is chock full of them. Hold on to your cinnamon buns, because we're spanning the first 6 seasons of Adventure Time on our hunt to identify each character. First up, this tree trunk vendor first appeared in Season 2's It Came from the Nightosphere. His tree-person brethren first made their appearance in Season 1's Wedding Bells Thaw. The plant vendors we see are from Season 5's James Baxter the Horse. A minute or so later, we also see the sprouted rock guy we saw giving a speech in that episode. At the bottom of this shot, the hot dog knights from Season 2's The Limit are standing with their backs towards us. Unfortunately, Cake whaps one of these cuties with her paws and accidentally transforms them into a regular old hot dog. Interestingly, when this happens, the hot dog knight zaps away in a similar rainbow of colors that Prismo uses to transport folks to his time room. We're clearly starting to see why it'll be dangerous for Fiona and Cake to be traveling the multiverse right here. Their existence threatens to eliminate magic. I don't think it's a coincidence that this is very similar to how Golb's digestive tract reset the magic of Simon and the Wish Crown. We did see Golb flash on the screen when Simon was siphoning Choose-Goose's magic, so part of me is wondering if Golb is pulling some strings in an attempt to have Fiona and Cake reset him from before his fusion with Betty. Rainey and Stump from Season 3's Another Way make an appearance, with Rainey playing Cake on the Loose, written by Rebecca Sugar and sung by Cake's voice artist Roz Ryan, until Cake wrecks her instrument. We also see a ton of characters from the Wildberry Kingdom from Season 6's Furniture and Meat, when Finn and Jake get rich and start doing weird stuff to give away their money. The Strawberry Kid is one of the upper-middle-class berry kids that Jake puts to work guarding his fortune, and we saw this mustached berry guy on a little cafe date. His date is also there selling yarn. The other blueberry that Cake scratches up is the dancer berry that Jake overworked. Mr. and Mrs. Goji Berry are also there, and it's nice to see Mrs. G thriving at the crusty sword stand. Jake totally traumatized them by paying them to do freaky stuff in the bedroom. Wildberry Chef from that kingdom also makes an appearance at the Keep Walkin' booth. Most surprisingly, we see a couple of pillow people in the marketplace from Season 5's Pahoy. Like Fiona and Cake, it was implied that the characters in this episode lived in an alternate dimension that was both real and a figment of Finn's dreamscape. There's gotta be a story behind their arrival in Ooh from Pillow World. The vendor selling his neighbors things is a cutie. Their people were first shown in Season 3's Conquest of Cuteness. This rock vendor looks a lot like the rock thief from Season 5's Rattleballs. This shopper is obviously from the Slime Kingdom, and way at the bottom you can see one of the spiky village people from Season 1's Gut Grinder. Several of the soft people from that episode also make appearances, including this green old soft person. We also see a few of the peanut people, like the owner of the My Finest Offspring stand from the Nut Party in Season 1's Henchmen. In a blink and you'll miss it moment when Cake first starts to sing, you can see Chocoberry's lower half walking through the background of that frame. As she starts to wreak havoc with her song, Cake knocks Shelby out of her little tree home. From the episode Memories from Boom Boom Mountain in Season 1, we see the coal man running the Stuff I Found in Old Towers booth. After Cake slices through a lemon grab banner, both Jamaica from the Notorious Pup Gang in Season 4's You Made Me, and one of the Cloud people from Season 6's The Astral Plane watch in horror as Cake uses the hot dog night as a plaything. The goblin running the Take One Leave Two booth is from Season 2's The Silent King, and when Cake banks off this plate of fish, we can see Rock Wizard from Season 3's Wizard Battle in the background. Lastly, the rock nurse from Season 2's The Chamber of Frozen Blades runs a booth filled with crystals, geodes, and gems. And we see citizens of the Fire Kingdom as Astrid and Fiona rocket through the sky. Back in the real world, Fiona is hanging up flyers in search of the portal that Cake disappeared in when she runs into Gary clocking in at Butler's Buttery Buns. Is it just me, or does it seem like he's up to something when Fiona asks him what he's doing there so early? He seems nervous to me. But after kindly making Fiona a frozen triple shot latte, a sudden brain freeze takes over. But it's not just any brain freeze. Back at Simon's place, he's hooking a cooked evil Choose Goose up to the wires and starting the ritual over again. A larger portal begins to sparkle in the freezer, where Cake also saw it shimmer. And an Adventure Time-ified version of what sounds like the Stranger Things theme song starts to play. I know it's not the same song, but come on, you gotta admit it gives Boys on Bikes vibes. Fiona comes tumbling through the portal in Simon's head, causing him to faceplant onto his Golb shrine. Although she mistakes him for the Ice Prince from her dreams, Simon has a meltdown, screaming that Fiona isn't really real. This is a heartbreaking callback to the beginning of the episode Bad Little Boy, where Simon writes a fanfic story about sharing mac and cheesels with Fiona and Cake after helping them save the Enchiridion. As they embrace him, he begins to cry, saying, "I'm just so glad you guys are real. You're really, really real." The inverted version of that, where he's cowering on the floor, convinced that he's losing his mind and Betty in one fell swoop, is the most gut-wrenching part of this episode. Although Simon is too much of a mess to help her, Fiona runs into Astrid outside. Astrid initially thinks that Fiona's just another cosplayer, and offers to help find Cake by using a wrist scanner to geolocate her using her kitty fur DNA. When she opens her F&C book to show Fiona, the page reads, "and sent Cake flying through the sky," with a drawing of what looks like charred evil choose goose. As the two of them fly towards the marketplace, Astrid offers Fiona her cosplay hat. Here's my theory. The pillow person we saw Cake slice up at the end of her song will become Astrid's replacement hat. Fiona finds Cake with her head in a pillory and rescues her from the market bazooka. When Astrid sees her standing triumphantly on the head of a tennis ball guy with her flag, she realizes that she's dealing with the real F&C. But before she can freak out properly, Prismo zaps them to his time room. Finally, the end title card this week shows Fiona and Cake dreaming of apple trucks with the same missing wheel as the squirrel's cart after his collision with Cake. These are just some of the Easter eggs and details I noticed in Cake the Cat, but I want to know if there's anything I missed in the comments. Like and subscribe to our channel, and be sure to share our breakdowns with your adventure partners. I'm Scarlet Wit, and you're watching WhitneyVision, and we'll be back with a breakdown of Prismo the Wishmaster next.